My name is Rita Jansen, now Rita Jansen Williams. I was the first pastor's wife here. My husband started St. Paul before it was even St. Paul. It didn't have a name.
I'm Debbie White. My husband is Reed, and we came to St. Paul in 1995, moving from here from Virginia Beach with our 3 children, Reed, Michael, and Rachel.
Hi, Reed White, married to Debbie. We came to St. Paul in 1995 when we moved to Peachtree City.
And my name is Deb Karras, married to Bruce Karras. We came to St. Paul in July of '99, just as the upper portion of the building was completed.
Bruce Karras, married Deb Karras, 36 years today. You first.
I'm Tammy Worthington, and we came to St. Paul in August of 1999.
And I'm David Worthington.
My name is Katie Lane. It was Katie Worthington, but now Katie Lane. I arrived at St. Paul in 1999 as a little, third grader.
Carlisle and I came to St. Paul before it had a name, before it had anything. We had nothing when we came to St. Paul.
My name is Cindy Robertson. I came here with my family in June of 1996, and I think about the second week that we were here, we discovered St. Paul down at the Wood Creek Clubhouse, and that was it. We were kind of hooked immediately, and that became our home.
Hi, I'm Rich Robertson. I'm a member at St. Paul since 1996. The thing that was interesting that I recollect is that as we became members relatively quickly, because they didn't let you sit around too long to become a member, I think our family of 5 was 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29 in terms of members. And that's how it all began.
I still am flabbergasted, and I told you this story about Ron already having 2 kidney transplants. He was so ill, and yet God wasn't through with him. 2 transplants and a leg amputation, and then he up and decides to start this place. How does somebody do that? Only because of God's help.
The very first Sunday was on June 5th, 1995. Pastor Jansen gave the sermon to a congregation of 4 people. I got a call from Pastor Jansen one day. Sharon, will you start a prayer group because this endeavor is only what God wants, God's will, and we cannot do anything without him guiding us. I said, I'll pick up the phone and call, and so let's just call it the prayer line. He said, fine, and that's how that started.
You know, God doesn't need a lot of things to have a church service.
Pastor Jansen had put a small blip in the Fayette County newspaper, The Citizen, and some people found it and found us, which was astounding in this tiny office. I'm not sure everybody would have walked into an empty office building, but they did.
We drove down there, pulled in the parking lot. There wasn't a sign. There weren't very many cars in the parking lot, and we were late because we had 3 kids trying to get ready to go to church. And I'm like, are you sure? There's nothing here. And he's like, I don't know, that's what I heard. So we walked into the door, and like I said, there were about 20 people there, and we were an additional 5, and there were not enough chairs for us. So people jumped up, ushered us to the front couch, and we sat down, and that was it. We were off and running. Worship service was, we had to have a tape that would play the music so that we could have something to sing with, and pastor would lead us just in a basic service, and it was wonderful. And then we would have a little bit of fellowship afterwards, cleaning everything up.
So when we came to St. Paul, where we actually were enjoying services, was at the clubhouse over in Wood Creek. We brought all the couches together and lined them up the right way. Pastor Jansen at the time was in the front, and it felt very much like a family.
The Robertsons came in the door at the clubhouse, and they thought we were nuts when they found out what we were trying to do, a multi-million dollar, project. And but their faith, I believe God's will, held them there, and they became very active from the very start, from the clubhouse on. When we had our first Lenten services, they were the ones who had us come to their house and have Lenten services.
And at that time, I was the altar guild. I actually had a bag because you couldn't leave wine there. And so that got transported every Sunday in and out. And we so wanted to save money that I was counting people. How many things do I have to set up for communion? Sometimes we had communion off of a paper plate. The communion ware was donated too, of which it was added to, but we're still using a lot of that was donated to us. I actually made the covers for those, which I'm sure they're still using. And I don't know if I ever told anybody, but those were Delta blankets.
I think we worshiped at Wood Creek for about a year, because I think we got it into the building in '97.
But after we left there, and this building was started, we met in so many different places. We actually met in the entryway downstairs to the school several weeks while the gym was being worked on. And so we met in the entryway, then we met in the gym, and then eventually we came upstairs to the cafeteria, which was called the cafetorium. And it was a great space for a lot of different things, and a lot of different things happened in that room. And then when we got more people, we went back to the gym.
Phase 1 was finishing off the downstairs and the outside and all that was needed there. Phase 2 was to really complete the facility with the proper amount of classrooms, which was essentially the second floor that we were able to do administrative offices and classrooms.
So I would say walking into St. Paul, I never thought about sitting on the blue school chairs or the brown folding chairs and everybody picking up the chairs afterward and putting them back in the closet, because we were so inundated by people welcoming us and asking where we were from or if we were moving here, and just the way everyone opened their arms to us and we felt so welcome that I really never thought about we're sitting on folding chairs in a cafeteria with just an altar sitting up there. This is not really, doesn't look like church. And at the time, I think the music was played on a CD. We didn't even have real music. So none of that really seemed to matter because we just felt like we belonged.
Yeah, I think what I think made this place unique is Peachtree City is a place where everybody's from somewhere else. And what was interesting is at St. Paul, that became our family, our de facto family here. And people seem to be much more open to, the fact that, hey, I'm not from here either. Let's get together. There were many, social activities that took place over the years, and it was that's the piece that I think makes it feel like this is your congregational home, and this becomes your family down here.
So why did it work not to have a sanctuary? Because our faith wasn't in a sanctuary.
People needed to be fed, but it didn't matter where they were being fed.
It comes down to what is truly important, and that is faith and relationships.